Hi guys, and welcome to Unreal Engine C++ tutorial of player input and prompts. So let me show you guys how this works. We can use the mouse just to pan around the environment, okay, and we can also use the D key, the A key, the W key, the S key. All of these was achieved using C++ within Unreal Engine. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, is I'm gonna take you guys straight into Unreal Engine development environment, and we put one of these together. Let's do that now, guys. And welcome back to Unreal Engine. I'm going to start by clicking on the blank, and my C++ or the C++ of the Unreal will be selected. The platform, that is going to be desktop, and the quantity I'm going to make that maximum. Now let's give this project a name. I'm going to call it how to underscore player underscore input. There we go. That's the name of my project. Then click on create. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to add a pawn. So let's go to content drawer right here. So I'm going to right click in here. Let's open up the C++ folder. Okay, we have the C++ folder open, and let's right click here and select new C++ class. There, and now select the pawn right here, where you can see a pawn is an actor that can be processed and receive input from control or from controller. So that's the whole idea. I want user to be able to put input, so I'm going to click on that, and let's click on next, and let's leave it as my pawn. I'm just going to click on create. There we go. Okay, our C++ coding area is ready. I'm going to just click on it to open it up. There we go. So the first thing that we are going to do is to come into mypawn.cpp here, and we want to enter as follows. So let's set our pawn to respond to input, to player input automatically upon the game starting. So right here, the constructor here, so let's say auto processes player equals e auto receive, let's say receive input from player. There we go. So I'm going to select player there. So that is our first. As you know, guys, we're going to be creating some component. However, in order to keep track of those components, let's add the following lines of code in mypawn.h here. Look at it, mypawn.h. I'm going to scroll right down. You see the public, come right down here, enter u property, and we'll say edit anywhere there, and press enter. Then we'll say using components, and that is going to be our variable for that to be our visible components. There we go. See the function of this u property so that it will be visible on the real engine itself. So well, now let's go into the mypawn.cpp. What I want to try and achieve here now is to create a dummy root component. Okay, and we can attach that by using as follows. Let's say root components. Let's get that right. That will be equals create default sub object, and sub object is going to be same component, and that should take in the text value of as follows. Let's see, and that's going to be root components. Might as well copy and just paste that in there. Let's close the bracket first and determine column. Okay, let's add a comment there. I'm just gonna call that create a dummy, so that you guys will know what that is all about, and I know what that is all about as well. Okay, a dummy root component that we attach things to. All right, now the next one is I now want to create a camera that is supposed to be a comment. Create a camera and a visible object there. Now to create that camera, I'm just going to call U camera. That is the object name. U camera components. Let's see, it should be here somewhere. I might as well type it. Alright, U camera components, and that is going to be, let's call it our camera equals create default. I'm going to grab all of these. Let's just grab all of these and just change it. Copy that and paste that in here. So we are beginning to understand how to create and so on within or using C++. So and this, we're going to have to change this one to U camera component. So let's grab all of these and paste that right in here. And the text content on it. So let's just say text equals something. Grab this, paste that here. And this is going to be, and we change that to camera, our camera actually. So let's grab that and just enter our camera there. There we go. And the other thing is, we seems to have an error here. Okay, as you can see, the U camera component is undefined. So I'm going to come right up here and I will define the U camera component itself. So paste that in there, and let's grab hold of our U camera component. Come right up here, speech mark. We're gonna enter camera / camera components and get rid of this. Right, so that would be .h. Okay, see, the error there is gone. The error here should soon disappear as well. Okay, the error is gone as well. Now right underneath here, let's add our visible component. So I'm going to copy all of this, copy that, just paste it right underneath here, and I'm going to change this to our visible components. And that visible component is going to be equals the default sub object. So let's get rid of all of this. Let's say our visible component, and that is going to be equals create default sub object. The create default sub object that I want to create, that should be the static mesh. So let's say use static mesh components. Alright, that's the one I'm creating, the static mesh, and that will become our visible components there. Okay, it's looking good so far. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to attach my camera. Let's enter comment there. So attach our camera and visible object to the root component. So to do that, let's grab hold of this camera, come right down here and say camera dash setup attachment, camera dash setup attachment. And what attachment are you setting up? That's going to be the root component, which is this very one here. Grab that and just paste that within the parentheses. enter semicolon. So one down. The next one is going to be the camera sets relative location. So we want the location for the X and Y axis. So I'm going to copy this camera again. Our camera, come right down here, paste our camera dash set relative location, and that is going to be F vector, and enter the following location. You can always change that location anyway, so the choice is yours, but for now I'm just going to enter that as the default location, equals dots 0f, which I'm going to play around with later on. There we go. The F actually stands for float. Then enter semicolon. The next thing is I'm going to copy the camera again. I now want to, that is the location. The next one is going to be for the rotation. So let's just paste that in there. Camera dash set rotation. There we go, guys. The rotation. Okay, so that is going to use the F rotation, F rotate, or F rotator actually it's called F rotator, and yeah, I think it's right. F rotator are the following coordinates: minus 45 F comma 0.0, that's the y-axis, comma 0.0 for the z-axis. There we go. Now our visible components, we want to set up attachment for that one as well. So I'm going to come in here, grab my visible components, and the visible components, that is going to be set up attachment in the root components. Grab all of these and just paste it right there. There we go, and that is it. So make sure it's saved though. Okay, so let's go to the Solution Explorer here and just right click on the name of your project, and let's select build, just to be sure that there's no error. Yeah, it's looking good so far. There we go, successful. That is beautiful. All right, that's fine. Now, okay, the next action now is for us to go ahead and configure the game input. So I'm going to go to the editor right here. Now let's go to the edit and select project setting. There we go. That is our project setting. What we need inside this project setting is we need to come where we have engine here, and let's look for input there. Click on input. Right inside the input dialog box, or engine input dialog, we have two functions in there. One of them is the action mapping. The action mapping I used to think of first. Things like yes or no input, like the button on your mouse and the joystick. They actually respond to events like release, press, double click, and when you hold down your mouse, that's what they respond to. And they also respond to things like jump, or maybe shooting, interact with other objects. So what we're going to do in there is we're going to come, let's click on the, you see this plus sign that we have right beside action mapping. Let's click on it. There we go. Once you click on it, you see this arrow here. There's an arrow right beside it now to the left. Click on that arrow, drop that down, and in here, the next dialog that opens up, or the text box, I'm going to highlight that and just enter grow. Now once you've typed in grow, to your right you will see a plus icon. Click on the plus icon, and what you now want to do is to come right here, okay, and let's drop down the arrow, select the keyboard. Once the keyboard is selected, you now want the space bar. Look at it right there. That is it. We have the space bar right there. That's fine. Okay, so that's all. I'm going to use the space bar for this particular project. So you see this one, that's an excess one. I'm just going to get rid of that there. Now the next thing that I want to show to you guys is the axis mapping. If you look at the axis mapping, actually report their position, and a very good example of that is the WSAD key. Okay, that is the whole purpose of the axis mapping. So I'm going to click on that, and what I now want to do is to assign, let's assign a value to the first axis. So the very first one, drop this down, that will be, and that is going to be move X there, and underneath here I will then change that to W. Drop that down, and let's click on the keyboard and look for W. There we go. There we have W. And the next one after W, if you guys have a guess, that will be S. So let's click on plus, and here just change that to S. Keyboard, scroll right down, and let's add S there. There we go. So you can move your WS, and the other one is going to be move Y. So let's get rid of that. We need to be able to move Y. So to move Y, let's click on axis mapping here. Click on that, and here let's change that to move Y, and the first value, that is going to be A. Let's click on that and look for the keyboard, and let's go for letter A. Right there, that's letter A. Okay, the scale is going to be minus 1, and the scale of move X as well, the S should be minus 1. Okay, don't forget that. Let's come down here, that's minus 1. Now moving Y axis A, if you press letter A, the scale is minus 1. We now need D. Okay, click on this plus sign again. We have a D here. Drop this down, go to keyboard, and let's look for letter D. There we go, and D is going to be 1.0, so that is fine. Right, that is all taken care of now, and I think it's looking good. All right, we have the space bar, we have move left, move X, that is for the X axis, and this is for the Y axis. So WS for X axis, A, D for the Y axis. So that's fine. Okay, we can now close the project setting there, and let's go into the browse the content drawer, because now that the input is configured, let's set up the my prone in our level. So click on that, and that is it right there. So I'm going to now get hold of it and drag it straight onto the level editor. So grab that and just dump it somewhere, maybe up here or down here. Release, it's right there, but you can't see anything. You cannot see anything, but one thing that we are able to see is the camera is officially focused on the table and the chairs that we have in there. You see, I've been able to call in the camera. Okay, for us to be able to see this very component, I'm going to go straight to my world outliner. Let's right click on it and just select restore tab, and the details, that is where I want to change the static mesh, and right here that is my prone. So let's click on restore. Now what we want to achieve there is for us to be able to see the static mesh. Okay, let's add a static mesh to it. So let's come right down here and look for static. There we go, that is it right there. And I'm going to now come in here, come right in here, drop this down and just select any of these components here. The choice is yours, whichever you select. Okay, any of those components. Okay, now make it visible for us. Maybe the lamp or whatever, the choice is yours. Well, let's see, where's the lamp? That's the lamp. I'm going to click on the lamp, and there. Okay, that is the lamp in there. Okay, and we can also change it as well. Let's look for something else. Add another chair. No, let's just look for something else. Or I can just add this, the shape cylinder. Okay, let's add a shaped cylinder. There, look at that, that's huge. Move it back. Alright, what you guys need to understand is the camera is actually following the static mesh that I've just added. Okay, this shaped cylinder seems not to be pretty enough. I'm just going to change that to something else. Let's come in here, drop that down and just select maybe just a pillar, something standing right there. Yeah, let's click on that. Seems too big though. We'll move it down. Alright, let's just come here. We can change that to maybe 0.5 and 0.5. This should be 0.5 as well. Okay, so that's a little bit much better. Okay, now that that is done, let's return to Visual Studio. Okay, and we make my prompt to react to whatever input. So the only way we can achieve that is by adding some lines of code to make that happen. So let's go back to Visual Studio, but we need to actually save what we've just done. Let's come back in and just save. There we go. Alright, the level is saved now. So we'll go back to Visual Studio like I said, and we place a reaction to the input. So let's go back to Visual Studio. There. So to get the prompts to react to input, let's go into myprompts.h, and inside myprompt.h we need to add the following functions. So let's go right down here, okay, where we have the properties, view properties. Let's press enter. So I'm going to enter speech mark there and just say input functions. Now let's say void move underscore x-axis move underscore x-axis. That is x-axis, and whatever movement that is calculated will be float, and that is axis value. There, the first one taken care of. Enter semicolon. We also need to be able to move y-axis, so I'm going to copy this, paste it right underneath here, and change this to y. Alright, taken care of. Now let's enter another. Let's say void starts growing, and there we go. And the other one is stop growing, so I'm going to copy this. Stop growing, another function there. Right, I have 4 functions. Save that. Now let's say input variables, and that's going to be f vector current vector velocity, and let's declare a boolean variable in there, and that's going to be b. Let's call that b growing there. Okay guys, we will now switch to myprone.cpp. You see these 4 functions that I've just created. Let's add some lines of code to them to actually make them do something. I've just copied those, copy, and let's go back to myprone.cpp, and right underneath here, paste. Now I'm going to enter, let's get rid of these. That's the first one, and copy that. This is going to be the second one, the third one. Get rid of that, get rid of these. So those are my 4 functions. The very first one right here. Now what I want this one to do is I'm going to ask you to have a look at the current velocity. So I think I do have that somewhere, current velocity. There we go. So the current velocity, that's going to be dot x. Okay, and that is going to be equals f mass column clamp axis. Okay, get hold of the axis value, comma, say -1, that's 0, function, close that, and 1 dot 0 f float. Okay, come out of it, and let's say multiply that by 100 floats there. And let's see, why do we have an error here? Let's see, it's telling me, okay, axis value is undefined. Look at my error here. I have that as A, that should be S. Because I copied it from myprone.h, let's come in there and just, that should be S as well, because that is the function that I'm calling. Okay, so current. Okay, let's get back to myprone.cpp. Right, that error is gone. They're all gone. That is fine. Now I might as well just copy this. Let's create a second function, and that is for the y-axis. So let's change this one to y, but we also need to change the, let's say the y. Okay, that is fine, it's already changed anyway. Alright, we have an error here, but don't worry about that. Let's take care of the growing. So I'm going to say b growing, that is going to be equals true. There. Okay, yb growing below, that will be equals false. Let's see, we have it as b growing, yeah, because it's a boolean. Alright, so don't worry, we will take care of that as well. So come down here, that equals false. There we go. Okay, let's constrain the value we get from the input. So to do that, what we need to do is to come right here where we have the super setup player input components. I'm going to say input components, dash, and that would be, let's say, bind action, and that is going to be grow. So comma IE underscore pressed this dot my poems. There we go. Alright, and that is going to be, let's start the growth, column, start growing, and end that. Alright, so let's correct this. There should be a comma there, and there. Okay. Alright, I'm going to copy that and just change it to stop growing. So enter stop there. There we go. So as you can see, this responds while our growing key is pressed. So let's just enter a comment there. So let's say respond when grow key is pressed or released. There we go. Alright, that's fine. So the next one is, I want you to respond to every frame. Okay, so let's say input bind axis. Now that should be bind axis, input components, that is going to be bind axis, and the axis we're talking about is going to be move X. If you guys can still remember the move X inside the project setting, move X, comma, this, comma, and a my prone. There we go. Okay, let's say column move underscore x-axis there. Alright, I'm gonna copy that, paste that right underneath, and let's change this to move y, and this is going to be y there. Make sure that is saved. Okay guys, we now have variables that are updated by the input and configured. All we have left to do now is to do something with them. So let's add right in here where we have the tick. Okay, so let's use it, say as follows. Now in there we're going to have a look at, so first of all I'm just going to declare a variable there. Let's say float current scale, that will be equals our visible components, and dash get component scale. Let's change this to scale. Parentheses dot x, end that. Now I'm going to use an if statement to check out the b grow. Let's say if b growing enter curly braces, if b growing is current scale, let's say current scale, is that in there, plus equals delta time okay, else what do we want it to do? We want this current time, current scale minus equals delta, multiply that by 0.5 f. all right, so that is fine. Else, what the else do we want the system to do? We're going to say the current scale. Let's grab hold of the current scale again. Current scale equals f math column clam and that will be current scale, comma 1.0 f, comma 2.0 f, and let's enter semicolon there. Now let's say our visible components, right here, visible component dash set world. That would be world scale really. Let's say world scale is not it. Okay, it's going to be 3D. Let's say vector, f vector, that will be current scale, There we go. Now we use another if statement to validate the current velocity. So let's come down here. I'll use another if statement. If not current velocity, double click on that, dot is 0. Yeah, that's fine. Is 0. Let's enter parentheses. So in that case, f vector that is equals new location, and that is get actual location. There we go. Parentheses, multiply that by or plus adapt to the current velocity. Okay, current velocity, grab that, paste that here. Current velocity, multiply that by delta time. Delta. There. Now let's set actual location. Let's say actual location, and that is going to be the new location. This very one, grab that and just paste it in there. Alright, so that is fine. I think we are almost done now. Okay, that's good. Save. I'm going to just come up here and rebuild. So far, no issue found. Okay, I'm also going to import the header file here. So let's come in here and just say include that is the name of my project.h. Alright, save that. Okay, let's come right down. I think I have one error here. Input component. Let's go into my .h. Let's see. Oh boy, look at it. It's called player input component. So I'm going to just grab that and let's come back in here. I'm going to change that to player input component. Right, and save. Okay, let's compile it again. Rebuild solution. No error. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to assume I finish up with the codes. Let's go to the editor now. There we go. I'm going to run it. Let's click on run. Hopefully there shouldn't be any error. Run. Okay, I'm going to press the spacebar. With the spacebar pressed, I expect this pillar to sort of like grow. I'm now pressing the spacebar. Look at that, it's growing. Okay, I don't think the view is that impressive. Let's end that. I'm going to come in here. Let's select this again, this very color. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it to something I can see. Let's go for this. Alright, and I'm going to move it back a little bit. Okay, I think that is much better. Or maybe let's reposition it. Okay, I think I like where it is now. Let me run it again and see. Run. Okay, so hold on to the spacebar. You see that? And once I release the spacebar, it goes right down. Let's use our W key and the S key. Y, D. Let's see what's gonna happen. Alright. Okay, that is fine. It's working. As you guys can see, I'm very pleased with this. But guess what? I don't like the whole environment. I'm now going to change the whole environment. Let's press escape. Now, apart from this, I'm going to get rid of every single environment. But first thing first, let's go right in here. Let's select the landscape. Select the landscape, and I'm just going to ask you to create a landscape right on top of everything. But first of all, you see these chairs and so on, select them all and just delete, 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 and delete. There. And delete this very one too. What about this? Get rid of it. And I'm going to just come back in here. Add a landscape. Where is it? Yeah, that's a landscape. Okay, that's fine. And let's just click on create a landscape. There we go. That's a landscape there. Boom. I don't want to add any hill just yet. Okay, back in there. Let's see if I run it. I should be able to see my Okay, it's working fine. I'm going to have to change the position of the camera a little bit. Right, that is fine. So now the next thing I want to do with this landscape is I'm going to select it and let's go to the properties here. Okay, the landscape material here. So let me just change that to something, maybe something grassy. This looks like grass. Yeah, this. Alright, that is it. We have our grass in place. Alright, now that we have the grass in place, what we want to do with the landscape, and what we want to do now is just to add some assets to it. So I'm going to grab those assets from my previous tutorial that I did with you guys some time ago. So this is the tutorial right there. I need this cabin and I also need the tree. So let's go straight into content drawer here. Now first of all, I need this cabin. So let's right click on it. That is the cabin there. Right click and let's select migrate there, and that is the cabin being migrated. Then I will now go back to my current program right here. Let's go to content browser or content drawer here. Let's click on that. Now I want it migrated straight into my content. So right click on the content and let's select show in Explorer. So click on show in Explorer. Now this is the location for show in Explorer. Click in there. Let's copy the address there. Right click and copy. Now I'm going to go straight back. Let's close it now since we've copied it. Go back to my previous program right there. Click on OK. Now paste our location up there, and I'm going to browse to where the new content is, and there I'm now in my project where the new content is. I will then click on select folder. There we go. Look at that. There, migrate is successful. So let's check out the folder now. There we go. That is the cabin right there. That is good. Now we also need to grab the foliage. Let's come in here. Where is it? Go back, do that again. That's the foliage. Okay, right click on the foliage, and I am going to select migrate again. There we go. Now back to my main project. In here I've already copied it anyway, so since I've already copied the right here, you see where it says show the explorer was already copied. So I'm going to come in here, just click on OK, and right in here I'm going to paste the copied location there, and guess what, is going into my, let's make sure I am on the right page though. Okay, there we go, and that is it right there. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, click on select folder, and hopefully the foliage should be there as well. There we go, it's successful. So let's go to our main project now, and let's check out the foliage. Yeah, the foliage is there and the cabin is there, and that's it. I don't need this project anymore. I'm going to close it, and there. So now let's come into this cabin here. You can just grab one or two cabin, just grab that and just drag it on board. Let's just paste it. There we go, that's it. I'm going to rearrange it properly, and I'm also going to add some trees and so on. Okay then. Okay, before I continue, let's enhance this landscape a little bit. So I'm going to select the activate landscape here. There. So what I want to do is just to increase, let's maybe add a hill there somewhere. So first thing first, let's see. Let's come in here so that I don't have such a huge landscape. I'm going to change the size of the brush to, let's make that about 500. Right, so right here I just add something that looks like, and do that, something that looks like a hill here. Right, that's fine. Okay, I'm also going to add trees and so on. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the selector editor here. Now let's add some trees first. Go back in here to the content drawer and select the foliage. Okay, I'm just going to grab one or two trees, just dump it somewhere here. I think that looks a little bit too big for my liking. Okay, drop it right there, and let's grab this other one and dump that. Let it be far away a little bit. Okay, let me move it down. It's a bit too long. Now let's add more cabin. We'll add those ones far away. Do that again. I think that is good enough. So let's copy it now. Just Control W, drag that aside. Another Control W, Control W. There we go. Control W again. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, so let's see if we can add a rock. I'm going to go straight into the content here, and there is, let's go to the starter contents and go to the props. Yeah, I think there's a rock. I've seen a rock in here before. Yeah, there we go. Grab that very rock, dump it right. Maybe we can settle for somewhere here. Let's collapse this. Okay, move it to the side. I'll move the other one to the side as well. All right. Okay, this very rock, maybe that very rock should give us a bit of water. So let's come in here and just enlarge it a little bit. Okay, that'll do. But it's now covering the other building there. Okay, that's fine. Now let's push it in. Let it be buried a little bit. Okay, now back to the landscape, and now want to hold on to my shift key and just kind of like dig through here. Okay, so we're now having a big hole in there. Now I'm going to reduce the size of my brush to about 50, and then just hold on to the shift key again and just keep digging across up to the rock. And do that again. Let's increase that to 200. Okay, give it a try again one more time. And just dig across. That seems to be too deep. Okay, that is, I think that's fine. A little bit, that's all right. Okay, that is fine just for this activity. That's all right. So I'm going to go back in here. Now what I then need to do, I will go into the editor here and let's select plugin. I need water in there, so right in here I'm going to type in water. Yeah, now let's enable the water. Enable that and click on start. The project will actually restart itself. Click on start, and I'm going to save everything first. Let's just wait for it to restart itself. There we go. Okay, it's restarted itself. I can now close the plugin there. So now let's go in here. We should be able to see place actor panel in there, and in here inside the place actor panel you see the search, type in water there, and I'm not going to go for ocean, and maybe we should just settle for the river. So we'll bring the river right in here. Let's see, just drop it in there. Oh no, there we go. Look at that. It's like the river is actually flowing from the rock straight into. Okay, look at that. Exactly what I want. Alright, I like that. So let's grab some of these buildings and just see if we can do one or two things with them. Control W, just copy it again. Control W. There we go. And now I can close this place actor. I don't need that anymore. Now let's do one more thing. Let's go back in here to our content drawer, grab the foliage. That is the foliage there, and just place some trees here. Or if we want to actually densely place the trees, we can always go in here. You see the foliage, click on that and open up the content drawer, and I can just select these two trees and I need to drag them in here. So let's come here and just bring this down a little bit, drag them and paste them in here. There. So those two trees are in there. Now I can now check them, make sure it's checked. That's checked, and this one is checked as well. So maybe we should just go right in and just, I want it at a distance, and I'm just going to paste it the trees here at the distance. See, it looks very busy there. Okay, so let's come right here. I want it at a distance, far distance. Yeah. Now, I think this is far enough. Repeat the same thing here. Yeah. And do the last bit. Do this here. Okay then. Yeah, trees here as well. Okay, I think that will do for the trees now. So we can then just maybe call it the end of the whole project. Alright, that is fine. We have trees, we have river, we have buildings, so that's cool. Okay guys, I might as well call it the end of the whole project. So I will then click on run, and there guys, so let's use our keyboard. That's the W key and the D key, using the A key, the S key, and let's use that's the space bar. You can see the shadow of the cylinder there. So guys, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoyed. In fact, there's a lot that you've learned how to code in C++, merge the data and so on. So with that guys, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial, and you all have a nice day now, and bye for now.